Hi, I am pleased to be here with Amy Hyde. Amy is one of my teachers. I've learned so much from her. It was really amazing how I have to give credit to Mitch Whiting. Those of you who don't know who Mitch Whiting is, look up on LinkedIn, Mitch Whiting. Mitch is a great guy. Reached out to Mitch. I had some questions for him. He introduced me to you and we worked together and I learned so much from you. And the topic of what I learned and what I was really looking for and is what I really like to go deep into today in this conversation, which is really about how to find a more loving approach to life and what that really means and what and how that opens things up. So, Amy, thank you so much for coming and having a conversation about this. I really appreciate it.
You are so welcome. It's my pleasure and my honor and my privilege. Thanks for asking me to come on
Y-
to your podcast. So happy to
Great.
be here. So good to see you.
Yes, you too.
And shout
So,
out to Mitch. A shout out to Mitch
yeah,
for
yeah,
bringing us together.
yeah. So, I guess the first question I have for you is, and what was your journey like to find this? What would
Yes.
you like to share?
Yeah. I am an open book. I'll share it all and you can keep it all on here. You don't have to edit anything out because if my journey can help someone else, I love to have the chance to do that.
Hmm.
Um, I started to go into learning about deep self-love after about 16 years ago, after a divorce because of some emotional abuse. I finally got out of a bad situation. Um, and I started really learning about self-love and how important it is to love who I am, to be my own best friend. Um, I think sometimes in the world, especially in religious ways, we'll be concerned about loving ourselves. Like we'll think that's having pride or being proud. And so we want to be humble. But in my journey, I've come to find that loving who I am is actually a form of worship because I'm thanking my God. I'm thanking my creator for me, for being me. And so self-love has been a really big part of learning to love who I am and giving myself grace to helping me learn how to deeply love others without expectation, concerned about how to show up for them and caring about how to care for them. I think the self-love is a really important piece of that.
So, buried in what you're saying, which is why this topic has been so fascinating to me, and why I originally reached out to you, is because so many of us live in the tension between do I take care of myself
Mhm.
or do I take care of someone else? And we try to draw this boundary to try to figure it out.
Mhm.
And it's a tough thing to I think there's something healthy about that. There's something important about that, trying to understand, okay, where do I begin and end and where does this other person begin and end and developing that. But there's a point where we hit a limit with that. Um, and we start to feel like there's this gap in between that's really hard to bridge. And there's a new paradigm, a different dynamic or a different way of being that's needed that you're alluding to in what you're saying, because what you're saying is that if you really know how to actually love yourself and give yourself what you really need, you're so open to giving others and in a way that doesn't drain you.
Exactly.
And that's what I found to be, and I think that's what you're saying when it's that itself is divine worship.
Yes,
And we come from different traditions. Obviously, I'm very Jewish. Um, um, and I don't even know I spoke. I mean, I think you're Christian, right? I
that's
haven't
right.
spoken, but so we come at this from different places, but ultimately reaching that same that same goal, which is, loving God and loving creation and loving yourself. It all is when you're doing it right, it all becomes one thing.
Yes, I agree
And
100%.
but it's hard to understand. Explain it to us a little bit. How does that work?
Um, well, first of all, if God is my first love, my number one love, if I love him first, and then I learn to love others as I love myself. I have to know how to love myself. And so I'll give you an example. This comes from Byron Katie. I don't know if you've studied any of her work, but as you know, I love
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
But this idea comes from Byron Katie, which is she tells a story of a woman who had been practicing this, loving herself and loving others, um, loving God first, loving herself as she's loving others. She was practicing this for many years. And that balance that you're talking about, where if you know, not losing yourself as you love someone else, still loving yourself, if I'm saying it the same way you said it. Um, so this woman fell in love with a man and they dated and courted, and then they got married. And only 1 week into the marriage, he threw a fit and had this huge anger explosion that she had never seen in the dating portion. And during this fit of throwing things and screaming and yelling, he kicked her down the stairs, and down she tumbled. And she got to the bottom of the stairs, and because she had been practicing this for so long, she loves herself, and she knows this is not a safe place for her. But she also loves him, and she knows that he is doing the best he can with whatever he has. He needs some healing, he needs some growing. But she walked up those stairs um, and said to him, "Thank you. Thank you for kicking me down the stairs so that I could see that you are capable of that. Thank you for doing it earlier on in our marriage so that I can see clearly that I need to step away from this marriage." And so she went in to pack her stuff, and he followed her and said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I will never do this again. I will get help." And she just very lovingly, because she loves herself as well, looked at him and said, "I forgive you 100%, and I love you. And oh, I hope you do get help so that you never ever kick anyone else down the stairs. But I am not going to stay here. I'm not safe here. You showed me that." And so she could very lovingly um, thank him for the journey she had had with him so far, and very lovingly um, not harm herself to be with someone that could kick her down the stairs. And I think it's a beautiful illustration of this idea because um, when we're loving without expectation and we're trying to show up for someone, if they're going to kick us down the stairs, and the world calls it boundaries, but if someone's going to harm me either mentally or physically, I can love them enough and also love myself enough to remove myself from the situation. So that's a kind of a drastic example of what I'm trying to explain.
Right. Outside of those extreme circumstances, though, this approach has a way of bringing people together even when there seems to be an impasse. Not an impasse in the sense of someone's being abusive or hurting someone else, but
Right,
situations where two people are trying to figure out how to work things together where there's a mismatch between their needs.
right. Exactly. Yeah, and so when they're and this is the common thing in all relationships, but especially in marriages, I think, and maybe in family type relationships. Um, like where there's two people and they both are feeling they have these different needs. If there's no abuse going on, um, if there is no abuse going on, like I just showed that extreme, um, in my journey, I have found to love freely and hold a safe place for this person I'm with. As I do this, the other person will almost always, if not always, start to show up for me too. In that space of me showing up for them, they will begin to show up for me. And I've seen it so many times. That energy that you're carrying, that love that you're freely giving them. And have you seen the show Les Mis?
No.
Oh, okay. For anybody that's watching that has seen the show, I'll just tell you this little piece that's so beautiful. And every time I see, it's a play, but they also have it in a movie. But it's a very famous play, and where a um, where a man has been in prison for many years. For he was poor and he stole some bread for his family to eat, and then he went to prison for many years, and he was finally getting out of prison, and a priest brought him into his home and said, "Come in, have a dinner with my family, stay here tonight. Have a bath, get cleaned up." Very generous, and um, and trusting this man and showing forth so much love. And the prisoner was, he wasn't sure of who he was yet because he had been in prison for so long. But what happened was early in the morning hours, the prisoner stole a bunch of the silverware, the silver from this priest, and snuck out. And the police found him right away and brought him right back to the door, knocked and said, "Hey, this man we found him leaving your house and he has all this silverware." Um, um, and the priest said, "Oh, yes, yes." And he responded with deep love for this stranger. And he said, "Yes, I gave this man the silverware. He was my guest, and I gave him the silverware because he just got out of prison and I'm helping him have a new start." And he said, "Hey, and you forgot something." And he reached behind him and he grabbed the candlesticks, pure silver. And he said, "You forgot the candlesticks. Here you go." So now here's what happens here in this story. Um, is the priest who has learned to love others freely and absolutely loves himself and the gift he is from God and loves God, obviously, that he was able to love this man even as he was harming him, stealing from him. What went on to happen then this is what love does. This is love heals, love changes, love helps us grow into who we really are. This preach or this man who was the prisoner now goes out into the world in in this space coming from this love, and he creates more love. He ends up helping so many people, and there's so many ripple effects, hundreds and hundreds of people, and the story shows how this all happens, and all because one person loved him enough to forgive him immediately and say, "Oh, and don't forget, here are the candlesticks." That step is like, not only am I forgiving you for stealing from me, but here, take this as well. Um, it's just a beautiful story and a beautiful example of what I'm talking about. That when you love someone like that, even a stranger, what grows in them and how they can turn around and the ripple effect of love that goes on.
I remember you told me a story about something that happened with you at a drive-through. You want to
Yeah,
share that?
yeah, yes. So this one comes from when I was teaching about pain bodies, the pain bodies in our aura. And do you want me to explain all that or just the part of this?
Yeah, just the story. No, yeah.
Yeah. So the idea behind this, I won't go into the pain bodies, but the idea is that when someone is unkind to us, It's because they have pain. Hurt people hurt people. And what happens if you hold the space for them, forgiveness and love, how it can help heal them. And I was with my daughter going through a drive-through. We ordered some food, and the girl who was taking our order was very rude, incredibly rude. And my daughter said, "Oh, as we were driving up to get the food, we need to park and go in and tell the boss and get her fired. You know how you can get upset when someone's so rude to you." And I said, "Wait," I said, "Just wait a minute," because I'd learned about and had been practicing this idea that um, we're either, love is the only thing that is real, and we're either calling for love or we're loving. We're either in the position of being hurt and needing love, or we're in a position where we can love. And I knew that she was calling for love. She was in pain. She was hurt. So as we drive up, and I am not offended or hurt by her because I didn't accept her pain. I just knew she was calling for love. Hurt people are mean. When someone's being mean, it's because they're hurt. And so I pull up, and she's continues to be very rude. She almost throws her food, our food out. She's just very cold and curt and unkind. And I see my daughter just getting more and more upset. And then I just look at the girl and I just look into her eyes. I wait for her to connect with me. And I just with so much love, I say to her, "Is everything okay? Are you okay?" And then she started to cry. She said, "No." And she was a 19, 20-year-old, beautiful girl, beautiful girl. And she said, "No, it's not." And she just started crying. "It's been such a hard day. And the lady that just came in right before you was so rude to me." And she said, "And I've been so rude to you. I'm so sorry." See, those pain bodies just lifted from her. And I just said, "Oh, it's okay, sweetheart. You have a beautiful day. You're a beautiful girl. I'm so sorry you have had a hard day." And she just looked at me. I took a deep breath, like, "Oh, thank you. Thank you for healing me with your love," is what she said. She didn't say it, but that's what I felt. "Thank you for healing me just now with your love," because that's what love does. And I said goodbye, drove off, and now she gets to feel yummy, and now she'll be kind to people because she doesn't have that pain body or that hurt. And we drive off, and we didn't go in and have her fired. So we get to feel yummy. And my daughter goes, "Oh, Mom, that really does work, doesn't it?" Because I've been talking to her about this, and she's like, "That was a demonstration of how that really does work." So that's been my experience with, in my marriage, with my kids, with friends, and even strangers at the drive-through. That what if it's a true, genuine love where you just are caring for this person, they're hurt. You don't really necessarily need to take offense to what they have said to you, how she was, behaving in the drive-through.
So, yeah, I mean, there's stories one story comes to mind about a rabbi used to have gatherings on the Sabbath, and someone came to visit who was no longer, had grown up observant, but was no longer observant. And so he comes and he had a good time and he comes again, but he would drive to get there, which, for religious Jews, it's like desecrating the Sabbath, but he wanted to see this
Oh,
rabbi, so he would drive over. And so
okay.
one time he's in conversation with the rabbi while he's there, and he's like, "Rabbi, I like to be here, but I drove. I drove in the car to get here." And the rabbi told him, "You come whenever you want and however you want." And
Beautiful.
eventually he came back from that. Um, there's another story, but that I could share. But what I think want to highlight here and talk to you about is this isn't a gimmick.
Right,
If you do it because you're expecting it to work,
right.
it doesn't work like that.
Mhm.
You'll end up then probably falling on your face and resentful that like why didn't it work? Or you're feeling then you'll feel so drained. Oh, I gave all this love and I didn't get it back. Um, it really comes back to what you said, which is that loving God first. And the way I understand that, and tell me if you feel like this is right or resonates well with you, is that the way you get above this tension between you know, respecting yourself, like this person's been so rude to you,
Yes.
and loving them is you almost have to go to a place where your needs are so filled on a deeper level that that stuff doesn't matter anymore. Like honestly doesn't matter to you. The love of God, I think, is really a person's pursuit to make their spiritual needs as real or even more real than their physical needs or their egoic needs.
Mhm.
When you're really filled up in the spiritual realm because you feel so loved, that pleasure replaces the pleasure of feeling important,
Yeah.
feeling, you're the man or you're the woman or you're great or um, and so from that place, when people throw pain at you, or say negative things about you or to you, or do negative things to you, or don't fulfill your needs, it's almost like it's hitting you on the surface, but it doesn't penetrate deep anymore.
Right. It's
And
beautiful.
then and then and then you share that depth of connection that you have with that person, and it starts to dissolve the suffering that they're going through.
Exactly.
But it
I love
only
I love the word dissolve too because it makes when you think of it dissolving or dissipating, it's gone. It goes away. It's not that you're broken, it's that there's some pain that's lingering. And I just love the word dissolve for that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it doesn't solve things in a mathematical equation. It almost just makes it disappear, like it never was there, like it was always an illusion. And you're kind of left with the question in your mind, but so what was real?
Yeah.
Was all the pain and the frustration real, or is that love real? And especially when you're at the stage of discovering this love, so it comes and then it goes, and then it comes and then it goes. You're almost living in this like dual reality. This like
Good.
pain reality. This is what I've experienced, like this pain reality full of boundaries and full of this tension.
Hmm.
And then this like love reality so filled with light and connection that like almost what could be wrong.
That's right. That's exactly right.
It reminds me of an experience I recently had. I did a seminar with a guy. He did a really good job leading it. I think I told you about it when I went.
Oh yeah.
And on the fifth, so it was 5 nights. And on the fifth night, he helped us all quiet our minds and get to a place of real stillness and looking within. And and he told me that he's been doing this for 20 years and this never happened to him. But
Mm.
in this absolute stillness in the room, I broke out into this incredibly loud, uncontrollable laughter that I couldn't stop. And when I finally did stop, and he like, since he'd never seen it before, he was like, what were you just doing? I explained to him that in that quiet, I realized that all my suffering isn't real. And it
Yes.
all became so funny to me.
Yes. Exactly. Did you know that's what happened with Byron Katie? That's exactly what happened with her
No,
when the windows opened up to her. She was in so much suffering. I can't even describe all that she had. But when the knowledge came to her, the windows of heaven opened up, and she realized all of her suffering wasn't even real. It was based on lies. She started to just laugh. It's a real thing. I mean, I know the man had not seen it much, but it does happen. It's like, it's almost funny because it's like, wait, I could prevent all that by just not believing those lies or see it as not real. And don't you think in your journey, the more you have seen it that way, where this isn't real, the love is the only thing that is real, has helped you, has kind of been a guiding light for you?
at this point, I don't think I'd survive without it.
Yeah.
I mean, at that moment, I felt it. And then obviously afterwards, it kind of dissipates and you have to start to get back to it. But when I find myself at an impasse, I realize either things are going to fall apart or I'm going to get back to this
Yeah,
because it really is the only thing that keeps that can continue to keep um me in a place where I feel like I'm growing. Um
exactly.
and it but it's it's so it's so hard to describe or even put words to. Trying the
Yeah,
best we can, but
yeah. And one thing I'd like to add to it, just those all those other things, right? All those other emotions and feelings, the anger, the jealousy, resentment, all those other feelings, we don't have to feel resistant to them. We do, we can allow them and feel them, and we should even, because it's part of how we learn and grow. It's part of how we gain empathy for others. But the cool science, and I'm a nerd and I like the science behind things, and I won't go greatly into it, but the science behind all of those other emotions that we feel, even though they're based on lies, they're not really true if we really just love God and uh, move away the attachments and just only need God. We don't need anything from anyone else. We can love them freely. Well, the fact is, we have these bodies and we have these infirmities, right? And so we're going to have these other feelings, which I think are very important. But the cool things behind the science is that emotion of anger or resentment or any of those emotions, they only they only last 90 seconds from start to finish. So if you can just be still and breathe in and take a minute to feel it, allow it, accept it, not be mad at, not push it away. When we try to push it out, push it away or push it down, it's just going to keep coming up. So just let yourself feel it. Then you'll get back to the state of love again, the only thing that's real. And so that resistance, kind of can keep things stuck in our bodies and in different ways. Um, and so just allowing it and not and instead of feeling like, oh, I'm broken, right? You can say, oh, I have another feeling, emotion that I'm going to experience right now. And then I'm going to always return to love.
what you're saying now is so healing because what you're saying is that the this place of love, it's not really in tension with this other reality that we live in. We can invite the reality we live in to it, and we can invite it into the reality that we live in. Um, it's like you don't go to such a place to then never experience pain. You go to such a place to then be actually, and according to what you're saying, even more open to experiencing pain.
Yes, 100%. You feel safe too because you know where you can return to. And as you feel the different types of emotions or pain, we learn and grow from that. It's 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 part of our mortal experience.
Whoever's listening to this now, just soak that in. I'm soaking that in because we spend years in suffering because we're unable to embrace being okay with and having compassion for and acceptance of 90 seconds of actually feeling that
That's
pain.
exactly right.
So, like the suffering, it's not just that it's not real because it's all based on a lie, which I want to get into that with you. Why
Yeah.
even that pain is based on a lie. It's
Hmm.
also not real because even if you were to believe the lie, because that's how we were taught to think, if you just forgot about the thinking part of it and just felt it, it would dissolve. It dissolves on its own.
Yeah. I love the word you're choosing. It dissolves on its own. Because when you run from it, you escape. It keeps chasing you. And when you push it down, like, I don't want to feel this, I can't feel this, I can't feel this, it it stays inside your body and it gets you sick. That's why we get sick. So if you just allow it and accept it, it's only 90 seconds and then it dissipates. It leaves.
Now let's talk about the lies.
Yeah.
So if this woman, what was, let's we can use the example of the drive-through because
Yes.
it's a harmless example. Maybe it's better
Yeah.
to use, but we'll just use that one for now. Like, why would being offended by that, feeling annoyed, upset by that, why is that a lie? What's the lie?
The lie is that it has anything at all to do with me. I just pulled up to the drive-through. It's none of my business. It's not my pain. It's her pain. She accepted it from someone else, or her own pain body was triggered by someone else. But in either case, it has nothing to do with me. She doesn't know me from Adam. We're meeting for the first time on a speaker, taking an order. And the moment that I believe it has something to do with me is I'm accepting a lie. It has nothing to do with me. If I take it personally, then I accept her pain. And and if I do that, that's okay too. And it's never too late to return to love. Never.
Right. I just want to understand this with you. Because
Yes.
even if we don't, even if, and yeah, obviously we'll miss this many times in the process
Yes.
of trying to get to it. But okay, let's take a different example. Let's say, um, you know, let's say in a family,
Yeah.
you know, let's say I disappointed someone else and
Hmm.
that person gets very upset with me, parent or someone else, right?
Yeah.
Um, Now it's harder for me to not take that on because this is a person who I'm connected with, and they're responding based on something that I did or didn't do.
Right.
Um, and they're upset, so now I feel disconnected from them. So there's a lot of pain there. How
Hmm.
is that a lie?
So again, if they're upset at me, that is um, their pain. I wasn't feeling any pain. Whatever I did that, rubbed them the wrong way or triggered a pain body in them is their pain, not mine. So the lie is to believe it is about me. When I believe it is about me, then I accept their pain body, and then we both are experiencing this pain together. And it's okay. That's okay too. We'll figure it out. Whichever one of us returns to love first in this situation, can then start dissipating the pain. If neither of us are willing to return to love, we're going to have problems because the love is the only thing that's going to start that healing. But I'm trying in my life and what I'm striving for and living and loving, and it brings me so much joy and light and bliss, is to recognize the lie as soon as I can. So if I come home and my husband is upset and he says something to me that sounds very personal, like, why didn't you get this done that I asked you, right? That sounds personal. That sounds like I should take that personally. It's about me. It isn't. It's his pain. It's his pain for whatever reason, his programming, something else happened and now he's upset. He's taking it out on me. We're we're trying, when we're in pain, we're trying to dump it onto someone else. It's not conscious. He's not consciously doing it. Misery loves company. It's a universal law. And so when someone feels miserable, they're trying to find someone. Many times they find their safest place to do it, dumping it. So when I can see he's suffering right now and he's trying to dump his pain onto me, I'm catching the light early. I can see the light early, so I don't get caught up in it. Sometimes I do get caught up in it. Then I let myself feel the emotions and I return to love as soon as I can at some point. It's never too late. And so if I can do it early on, like in through the drive-through, where my daughter did it later, a little later, where she saw, oh, where she heard the girl say, oh, I've had a horrible day. See, then my daughter was able to return to love then at that point. But I was practicing the way I was practicing it, I was doing it before. I'd never accepted the lie in the first place. I never accepted the lie in the very first place. When anyone is mean to me at any time, any place, when anyone's asking too much of me, all of the things, they are, it's about them, not about me. Even if I did, even if he's comes in and he's upset because I didn't get something done he wanted me to get done, if he was returning to love, if he wasn't in pain, he would not say that to me. He would maybe be curious about it. Hey, honey, but he wouldn't be doing it in that way with with pain. If, in other words, if he was coming from love, that would have felt differently to me too. So if someone's dumping something on you, they're disappointed, they're angry, they feel resentful, all of those things, it's theirs. They have got to find healing for that. And the way we can help them find healing for that is being a safe place and not taking it personally. And when we don't, we can be in a loving place.
What I'm hearing you say is that we only suffer. You're saying we're only really going to suffer when we take something on that has to do with us. Now, even if I was to say this person who's being upset or mean to me, that their upset has nothing to do with me. Because they could be loving about it, they could not care about it, they could even like it. Like it's
Exactly.
there, you
It's
know.
all the meaning. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I once heard it's like if you walk behind someone on the street who you don't know and you just kind of knock into them, they're upset at you. But if you see your friend walking down the street and you give him a big slap in the back, he turns around and he smiles. So
Exactly.
this guy, so let's say, yeah, so even let's say that. But wouldn't you say that it would then at least create some level of pain and suffering just seeing that someone who I want to feel connected with, who I want to like me right now, who I want to feel close to, I can see is far away. Like, let's say I'm not taking that on that they're upset,
Hmm.
but there's something about just the happening. Or let's even
Yeah.
say it's not a person. Let's just say someone is going through a hard time health-wise or financially or in something else.
Hmm.
How do we, how do we like, how do those situations not bring us down?
Yeah. So this is what I call necessary suffering versus unnecessary suffering. And so there will be times when I will grieve with someone, or I will see they just got cancer and they're sharing that with me. And I will carry that with them. I will choose this suffering as necessary suffering, suffering that I want to carry with them. And when I do that, when I carry that with them, I lighten their load and it's beautiful and peaceful. You feel peaceful in the necessary suffering. It's a choice you're making to help carry a burden that they have right now. Even, and that can even be when the husband comes home and says, angrily or in a mean way, which my husband hasn't done that. I'm not even using a real example there. But and I can feel the suffering. Oh, he is hurting right now. And that is, but it's not the suffering of now I'm upset too. I'm not going to take this personally. This then this gives you, like you said, you can't do this. You can't manipulate this. This has to be real love, right? That you're feeling. Because then this is what helps you look into the girl's eyes at the drive through and say, "Are you okay?" And she can feel my love.
Right.
I feel sad for her. She's in pain, so I feel I'm carrying that, but it's with peace. Necessary suffering comes with a peaceful feeling of, I am helping a sister, I am helping a brother.
So, right. So what I'm hearing you say is that the way you actually practically approach the pain around you is by choosing to have compassion.
Absolutely.
Now, my question is, let's say this doesn't involve a person. Let's say you have a guy who's worth a few $1 million and he finds out that overnight he's completely wiped out. Someone's, let's say there's no human involved. Let's just say the market crashed and he's
Yeah.
now has nothing.
Yeah.
How does he find a way out of that that doesn't involve unnecessary suffering? What does that look like?
No. So when you are going to go through something, like an example that I give is someone comes into my house. I have all my family over. I have all my family and all my best friends in my home, feeding them and celebrating with them. Someone's birthday. And someone comes into my house and they murder everybody and they burn my house down and then they leave and they frame me. And so I go to prison for it. Okay.
Oh wow, you couldn't pick a like that couldn't be worse. Okay, yeah, there you go.
Okay. So I've lost everything. I've lost every person I in my inner circle, my family, my friends. I've lost my home, and I'm now, in prison. And I am now in solitary confinement because I'm so violent. So they've got me, I'm in this tiny little room, and the guards are or they've got, bringing me my food, and I'm just by myself. And I have available to me my necessary suffering and unnecessary suffering. And my necessary suffering is going to take some time. It could be 90 seconds if you're really good at it, because it's a full surrender to God, the only one I need. And so when I'm in this room and I get to decide how long my necessary suffering is. And at some point it will become unnecessary. At some point, it's time for me to surrender to God and say this: God's got a plan for me. He is the only one I need. I'm going to continue to love myself, love Him, love myself, and love the others around me. And that is how I will then now only have necessary suffering when I have remember my spouse and my children. That will last my whole lifetime. I will think about them and have the grieving from that, but I won't have the unnecessary suffering, because I am okay. I'm okay. I'm here. And now when the guard comes down and brings me my food and I say, "How are you? How has your day been?" And I connect and love the people I'm with. And then they report, "Hey, this person, this prisoner, is very kind." And so I earn the right to be now with the big group. And then I serve everyone there and I love everyone there. I will be filled with joy and happiness because I'm doing the measure of my creation, which is to love. Even though I still have the necessary suffering of missing my spouse and all the people in my home, and I'm in prison for crying out loud, but I'm feeling peaceful and joyful, and I'm not doing the unnecessary suffering.
Wow.
And we know it's possible. We have people that went in the consecrate what's his name? Viktor Frankl. Have you read his book? You know
Yeah.
it's possible. I mean, that's painting an even worse picture than the one I just painted. He was watching his spouse and kids. He was in what you would think of the most suffering possible. But when he had purpose to love others and to even when he was being whipped, he would not suffer unnecessarily because he knew the people whipping him believed they were doing what they needed to do or were being coerced, forced to do it. And so he still had love for them. Having the love for these people who were even harming him. He was having love for them. He knew they were doing what they thought they needed to do. So we know it's possible. We know this is possible even in the very worst conditions. I
It
mean, it puts it in perspective, about a spouse being upset about getting something
yeah,
done.
it does. I think that the word that comes to mind is, at least the way my brain is understanding this and processing it, is that real suffering only happens for a person at the level of identity. Meaning, someone once explained to me the difference between pain and suffering is pain is I step on a Lego middle of the
Yeah,
night, and suffering is I go, ow, why does this always happen to me?
that's right.
So when we there's a very big difference between the sensory experience of having pain, which is something to not ignore and pay attention to, but suffering is when it lingers because we identify with it. The lie, so and the what I've come to understand, and especially hearing you talk about this, it's making it more and more clear for me, which is why I really thank you for having this conversation.
My pleasure.
Um, is that the lie is the belief that suffering is factual, that it's based on fact,
Hmm.
when really it's based on identity and story.
That's right.
Whoever I believe I am and what I identify with determines how vulnerable I am to being destroyed, my sense of self being destroyed. If I identify with money and I lose my money, if I identify with a relationship, and that's why you're saying loving God first, because if you identify with that relationship primarily, then you have something that's indestructible that no one can take from you.
That's right.
But any time we identify with anything at the level beneath us, we see that God brings pain into our life to remind us that this isn't really who we are.
That's
But the
right.
lie is, I think, at least for me, what the lie is the how I constantly get fooled to identify with something else other than that. And so then I believe when it's taken from me that there's a factual reason for my upset, that it's as real as one plus one is two,
That's
when
right.
really it's a choice that was made that I'm not conscious of, but and when you see that choice,
Hmm.
then you see the lie.
Right. Exactly
But
right.
but oh boy, does it take work to start to even see that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun work. I love it. I love being engaged in this work. I love, and it comes down to the most simple equation. What I started with from the very beginning was love God first, and then love others as I love myself. So that means that means I'm going to start loving who I am, identifying with the God in me, the divinity in me. So the story that I tell myself and the story that I begin to see, and which is the only truth, is I am divine. Just I am divine. I'm God's. And so is everyone else, even the one whipping me at the concentration camp. Even they're all divine. We all are divine. So when we can really come back to that very simple principle. It helps me get there. It helps me return to love. It helps me be one that can be giving love more than I'm calling for love. Because all I need is God and to know that I am His. And then I can love others more freely.
One more question I have for you before we go. I could do this for at least another 3 hours.
It's fun talking to you. And I
Thank,
love how you interpret and explain it. You have a gift for that. So
thank
this
you.
is a great calling for you to do these podcasts. It's wonderful.
Yeah, but doing it with you is a special treat because
Thank you. Thank
a
you. I
lot of the
appreciate
times I'm helping understand and explain people in ways that it's mainly helpful for them, but this I think is so helpful for me to hear
it.
from
Oh,
you and
thank you.
then to be able to word it and understand it. I mean, I'm flying right now. The question that I'm going to try to fit in before this is over, at least for now, maybe we'll do it again if you're open to it.
Heck yeah.
But nice is if that's how the way I'm being, um, loving God first, feeling that love within myself, and then sharing that out to others. Um, when in relationship, especially with very close relationships, what does vulnerability look like?
Vulnerability is still sharing with them things that you would love to have with them. So it's still sharing with them. I would love it if, sweetheart, I've had a busy day and I'm heading out right now. I would love it if you could do the dishes for me tonight. But where I let go of the expectation and the suffering would be, but if you're not able to do it because you're too tired or you just don't want to, no worries. So I still can ask for something that would be beautiful for me, but I don't need it from them because I know that I can come home, go to bed, and the next day I can get to it. Whatever this, I'm using a simple example there. It could be a more serious example of, a need that is deeper than someone doing the dishes. But the same thing, it is as simple as this. I can share, I would love it if you could do this for me, whatever the thing is. But if you can't for any reason, it's okay.
Wow, that hits really deep. The words that come to my mind is not that, I mean, I think when we're really vulnerable, it's something that we really need. So for me to say, I don't need it would be hard. But the words that I feel congruent with saying is that if it's not happening now, I'll wait. Like I don't need it. I need it, but if it's not meant to be now, then I understand.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
to me that almost like preserves the vulnerability and the need, but it also leaves that openness of surrender,
Hmm.
um, and still staying like, I guess in a way in line with that core, um, that core godly connection.
I love that. And that kind of brings us back to that very first story I told about getting kicked down the stairs. The truth is, that woman could choose to stay with him and choose to allow him to kick her down the stairs every day from then on. She could choose that. Um, and she could even say, "Hey, I'm going to love him that deeply and that well." But then it comes back to that vulnerability of, wait, I choose not to be kicked down the stairs. I love who I am. And many women will stay in abusive relationships because they don't love who they are. They're not able to say, I love you. Please get the help. I forgive you, but I am not going to be kicked down the stairs. So that's the drastic example of which I think needs to be made when we're doing this work, because this point needs to be made that we love God first and we love others as we love ourselves. We need to love ourselves. But when I can say to my spouse, could you do this for me? Um, but if you can't, it's okay, right?
Hmm.
I'm saying, I know that this thing I'm asking you to do for me, I don't actually need until there is one that is actually a need, which is I don't want to be kicked down the stairs. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that in there's a lot in the middle between those two things where I
Hmm.
think it becomes an area where it's not so black and white.
It gets a little bit more nuanced when you think, do I really need this? And really, when you ask it, there's nothing we actually really need, even water and food. We don't need it because we can die. I mean, so yes, you just have to, it's this beautiful, amazing journey of finding how to love well, love freely without expectation, and ask from someone you love things that you would love to have from them, the vulnerability, and deciding when is it being kicked down the stairs? When is it something I really don't need and I'm okay to keep doing what we're doing?
The fascinating thing is that whatever you decide, whether you decide for yourself to say, to love myself, I know I need this, or whether you decide to the other person, you say, I realize that I don't need this,
Mhm.
it's both coming from love.
It's good.
And both of those choices could also come from a place that's not loving.
That's right. That's exactly right. You will know and feel the difference, and so will the other person that you're with. It's felt. We feel it. And the beautiful part of all of it is when we surrender to our maker. And this is where all the healing really takes place. And when we surrender to our maker and we ask him for guidance and try to follow his promptings, that's when we know, um, okay, I'm not going to stay and be kicked down the stairs, or I am going to stay and be kicked down the stairs, whatever it is. When we're following and knowing that there is a divine guidance for us, and we feel it, and we can feel it in our heart.
Hmm.
We can just feel that guidance. We feel it. It's light and free. And when we're believing lies, it's icky and sticky. When we're feeling his light and his guidance, and he says, yes, hand him the candlesticks. Hey, yes, my friend, I gave you. I gave him that silverware, and here are the candlesticks you forgot.
Well, nothing short of blown away. Amy, if someone wants to have a conversation with you to explore this further with you, I want everyone listening to know like Amy is a coach. She helps people individually and in groups to integrate and learn these and other concepts and ideas. How can they reach you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I am actually finally on LinkedIn, but I'm not really, I don't really check it very often. Um, so I would say maybe if you don't mind being a go-between, they can reach out to you and you can just give them my phone number would be the best
Okay.
way to do
Can
it.
are you okay with me leaving your phone number underneath this video or wherever it's up on?
100%.
Okay,
Yeah,
so if
100%.
you want to speak to Amy, just send her a text or call her.
Yeah.
And yeah. Okay, Amy, thank you so much. This is
Oh,
awesome.
so nice to be with you.
Awesome. Yeah.
You have a brilliant mind. I love seeing it at work.
Thanks for putting it to work. I
Amazing.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
You